So hi, Will Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with.
This is Will Putney from Fit For An Autopsy.
And we have some questions to say about the upcoming album, The Nothing That Is. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
So far so good. Seems like people are digging the direction, and yeah, I mean, it's, you never know. You just throw stuff out there and you're like, yeah, we could do the same record, or we can mix it up, and people are just gonna love it or hate it regardless. So now we just like, well, this is what we like. If you like it, cool. But it's been good. I can feel good energy coming off the response to these, so it's awesome.
That's good. The album fucking rips.
It is incredible.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
So I mean, the cover art is sort of just a kind of using the black hole as more of like a symbol of nothingness. Kind of wanted to represent the idea as grand as possible, you know, this big ominous thing. And yeah, I mean, I feel like the nothing that is just a bit of a progression from where we were the last record. It was more looking ahead to the future on the last record, and, you know, the state of the world and where things seem to be leading and how that affects the person. And on this record kind of puts it more in the present time, that we're kind of just existing in this space as all kind of for nothing. And it was like, it pulled it from a song and it kind of themed up this sort of, I wouldn't say pointlessness, but sort of just the general like failure of where we are today as a whole in the world. And I just thought it was a title that felt appropriate for all of the themes that we cover on this record.
Gotcha. At what point in the process did that general theme kind of come to you? Was it throughout the writing or once everything was finished up?
I mean, it generally came like 15 years ago, probably, when we started the band. So, I mean, we kind of, I feel like we've been saying a different version of the same thing for a while with the band. So I think you kind of know what you're in for. If you listen to our band, there's not really a lot of positivity to be found in what we write about and what we want to talk about. You know, it's either, the way I approach it is, you know, it's either a societal issue or a specific topic or a specific thing that is causing frustration for me, and I use lyrics as sort of a release of that anger. So you're going to get that, or you're going to get the other side of it, the reflection from a human perspective of what existing in a state like that, or how these horrible things like affect a person, you know. And I think the balance of those two is something that I always like to do lyrically and carry through Fit records, and that is what that's like probably just gonna be what we do and what we talk about, you know.
Makes sense. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
This one was like actually pretty easy, which was cool, because they're not normally for me. The last record, I think having all the downtime with COVID and stuff, what seemed like it was going to be like, oh, this is going to be awesome. It was kind of like harder to get a record together. I feel like I didn't want to spend as much time as I did on it. I just like having the luxury of the time, sort of, oh yeah, we could just write more songs, we could do more stuff. And then I'm like kind of just overworking it a little bit, where this record, it was like, I'm pretty busy this year. We knew we had a pretty tight timeline, and I was like, I'm just gonna get mentally there and ready to go on this thing. So like, I have my themes in mind, and I kind of know where I want to hear the songs go before I sit down. And like, honestly, a lot of it came together really fast. I didn't really hit a roadblock at all. I kind of just knew what I wanted to do and did it. So it was really smooth, which is nice, because sorry, my dog is headbutting me.
You're good.
This is Stampy, by the way. Say hi.
Stampy?
You're on a podcast.
Oh my god.
I mean, it just came to really easy this time, which is like a rare treat for me.
Fuck yeah.
So what song off the album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Ooh, personal favorite. I don't actually know. That's a tough call. I like so there's a song, I guess there's a song, Red Horizon, that was really fun to write. and I feel like it covers a lot of different range for what we do, you know. As like, if I had to choose one song, I feel like that's a pretty cool representation of the band and all the tricks we can pull and stuff like that. So that's definitely like a highlight one for me on the record. It has a pretty cool message, and you know, when I was done with that one, I felt probably more satisfied than some of the other songs. Like, well, I got a lot in this song, you know.
Yeah.
So substance wise, I think that's probably my favorite. But they're always like, this stuff all lives in my head like it's one giant song for so long that like isolating music sometimes it just feels weird, you know, where I'm like, I don't know, it's just that's the thing. I like it or I don't, you know. But yeah, I mean, that one was I guess if I had to pick one, that would probably be my jam. Yeah. And then like, as far as what took the longest to write, I think I always spend a little more time on like kind of the outros on our records and how we want to sign off. And those songs tend to get longer and just by default, like kind of take longer to figure out. And this one's really dynamic for the band. So it was like, you know, there's just more detail and thinking that needs to get done on it and stuff. So that was probably wasn't necessarily the hardest. It was just like, I was saving it and putting it off for a while, because I was like, I don't know which way to go yet. I'm not actually sure. So by the end of, there was one point where I just kind of had the whole record written, but that song. And then I was like, oh boy, I got like a mountain to climb here. Yeah. So that was like, probably took the longest. It wasn't necessarily hard. It was just a detail after detail, you know, to like kind of get it right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, makes sense.
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer, shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
We had switched it around a bunch, actually, because there were specific. We had written a song that I thought was going to be the intro, and then sitting on it, I was like, you know, I don't know if it paints the right picture. I don't know if I want you to feel that way right away, you know, with the record. So it did like took a second to just make sure it kind of kind of had the right flow and stuff. But where it is now, I feel like it's really balanced, and listening to it back, I think we got it right. Like, at least in my opinion, I'm like, all right, I feel like now it's doing the dynamic thing that I wanted to do, you know. But yeah, there was some back and forth. Like, I think we knew what the outro was going to be, obviously. And I kind of knew what the first half of the record could roll out like, you know, at least at the end of side A on a vinyl, I kind of had that in mind. And then after that, I was like, man, this is all up for grabs for a minute, you know. But yeah, we got it there.
Gotcha. Oh yeah.
Sounds good. And would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this record?
For this one in particular, I knew, you know, I think we're in an interesting place right now. We're coming out of a subgenre where we don't really sound a lot like a lot of the bands we tour with or our peers. And we also don't really sound a lot like some of the more, you know, established veteran commercially metal bands either. So we're like existing in between these spaces a little bit. And it was like, all right, I want to stay there, actually. You know, I was like, I think the charm of the band is that we can sort of circle around different styles of these metal subgenres and stuff and give people records that can be considered more dynamic and, you know, cover more textures and things that, you know, other bands sort of stay in one lane. So I feel like that's always important. I actually think it's like a real driving factor for why people are interested in the band, because we try to keep it interesting, you know. So I always try to live in that space. I always try to find the trick that is like, yeah, cool, this is something that like a band like us maybe normally wouldn't do, but if we could put our twist on it, you know, we could have something unique, you know. Just making sure we have our own identity. Like, to me, it's really important. It's, you know, obviously we have our influences, and we all collectively like, you know, a handful of bands, and they're our favorite bands, and that stuff's going to creep into the music you write, because that's why we started a band in the first place and stuff. But, you know, having our own purpose and lane and vision to create something that's our own, I feel like is always priority number one. So I always try to live there when it comes time to like put a song together.
Gotcha. Okay. So, kind of while approaching writing a song and going to make it your sound, are there certain things that you look for in a song while you're creating it? Or is it kind of just based off of vibes? Like, I haven't heard this yet. I'm looking for this. Or I've heard this too many times. Let's actually avoid that idea.
I mean, I feel like it just needs the emotional impact that it's supposed to have. I think whatever that is. I want to write a heavy song. Well, okay, I want something that makes you feel like, fuck, that was like serious, or like I want to establish this kind of mood, or I want it to be sad. It's like, it's more sort of thematic based for me when I'm checking a box for a song to make sure it's going to work. It's like, hey, this song is about this. And you're supposed to be bummed out. So by the end of the song, I'm like, okay, are we feeling like that or not? Or like, this is supposed to be really aggressive. Like, we're supposed to be mad at this thing. Does it translate, to the listener the way it does in my head, And I think it's, when that doesn't happen is when songs don't connect, because you're not making your point strong enough, whether that's lyrically or musically. And that's just the thing that is always like, we have to get past that wall for a song to work.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should you do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is work at album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
Ooh, that's good. Well, okay. So it sounds good loud, which is cool. I kind of tried to lean the production to feel a little more natural. Guitar's still a little darker, so you can bump it, which is nice. A lot of modern mixes get like really, really bright. The mid range starts to hurt. So this is definitely a fun one to listen to loud. But yeah, I mean, I would listen to it as a whole piece. I think obviously everyone's attention spans keep shrinking, but you'll get more of a feel for what we really are if you go front to back on this record.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah.
So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
3 words. Oof. Okay. Powerful.
Okay.
Dynamic.
Okay.
Scary.
Oh, scary. Interesting.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
I don't think that I've ever not put a lyric or a riff or something into our band where I didn't want people to take it seriously. The things that we say and the style of music we play is meant to be direct and aggressive and make you sort of have a thought and question certain things and question yourself and look around. So I hope it does that for people, because I think I still believe that it's cool to make a strong point with music, and I hope that translates.
Hell yeah. And even if you're blind to like what the lyrics are saying, the album art and the title are very also on the nose. Everything about it is very on the nose about like the feeling that you're going to get from the record.
I mean, it is what I want to convey now, and there's definitely stuff that can lean a little more poetic or abstract, but there's definitely a lot of like purposeful directness to the music that we make too. So I feel like this time, the nature of where I'm sitting and where I want, what kind of response I want people to feel. I do feel like it kind of is more direct.
Oh yeah.
Makes sense. So are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of this album, positive or negative?
Challenging. What's challenging? Let's see. I mean, this stuff is hard for sure. So I think everyone in the band had at some point experienced something that was tough. We definitely don't make easy records. And I think pushing yourself a little bit to the point where it's like, ooh, I might need to like practice this like afterwards. It is like a good thing, everything's in the like our wheelhouse as far as what we're capable of as musicians and stuff. But it's hard. Like it definitely is hard. So I mean, there's some solo stuff, there's some drum stuff, there's some vocal stuff. There, everybody had like everybody had a moment for sure on this one. Yeah, particularly where I don't know, but we all went through it.
All right.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's fair.
So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour. You're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
My snack of choice. I'm pretty basic. I'm like a protein bar guy. Just give me like a vegan protein bar that doesn't suck. I'm trying to. I'm on a health kick. I'm trying not to be fat. So that's where my head is right now. I'm not eating a salad from a gas station. They stink. So I'll go protein bar.
I don't blame you.
No. Those gas station salads are so ass, man. They're all wilted and rotting. It's awful.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to get any prepared good there. I feel like I'm going to get sick. So we just give me the little protein bar and go about my day.
All right. What flavor protein bar though?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big peanut butter guy. So we start there and then we see what the options are. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. Sounds good. And on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
That's crazy because we all so wildly different. I guess we would be like a buffet, a tasty buffet with everything that you want and some stuff you don't.
Yeah, there you go. Hell yeah. And for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with drink?
My last meal on death row, I would go Thai food because it's probably my number one choice, but actual Thai food from Thailand. I appreciate American Thai food, but I've spent some time over there and it's a different game for sure. Yeah. So we're going there and then I'll just take a nice cup of black coffee so I'm awake to watch myself die. That sounds fun. Sounds great. This is a great interview. Thanks for this.
Hey man, you're the one that answered with that, man. You could have said like a little sundae or something, milkshake.
No, just give me some pad thai and a cup of coffee, and then we can get it over with.
All right.
Damn right. And if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Okay, so there's a pretty obscure movie. It's like a sci-fi movie, Kiefer Sutherland, called Dark City from the 90s.
Okay.
That is this strangely bizarre world with these like ominous figures that tune the world, where they can actually like stop the world and then they make changes. And it's like the overlords control you style, narrative, but it just looks cool. It's super dark and I want to be one of the tuning guys. So I'd hop in that world.
Fuck yeah. That sounds cool.
And I've thought of asking the last question. Every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Favorite color is green.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would have guessed red based on the color behind you.
I got a lot of red. I just don't think, I don't know. I just like green. I like trees and stuff. So I lean to green. But green looks shitty on so many things that
it really does.
It's a weird color to be your favorite color.
Yeah.
Because you get, I think green looks shitty on stuff because nature is so green. That's the thing I like. And then when you put it on a wall, it's not what it really is.
Exactly.
So, it isn't the same. But I'm still a green guy. Going green.
All right.
Go green.
So as I said, that's all the questions I have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Well, what am I plugging? October 25th, new Fit For An Autopsy record. The Nothing It Is comes out. Band will be on tour in America through October and November on a headliner. And then we will be overseas in the UK and Europe on a headliner that runs pretty much straight up till Christmas. So lots of shows. And we're looking at schedules all come together next year. So we'll be in some other places. So just follow us and keep an eye out because there's more stuff ahead, more singles coming out, more everything. It's all happening.
Hell yeah.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you, Sal. It's been Will from Fit For An Autopsy, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.